What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Auto Auction Rebuilds. Today, we're back with my 1940 Chevrolet Coupe Restomod. We are going to dive into it, see if we can correct some idle issues, check to see what is underneath this thing, because we've not had it on the lift yet. As you can see behind me, it's on the lift today. We're going to get under it, try to figure out what kind of transmission it has, look at the rear differential, and see what other goodies this car is hiding underneath. Now, if you missed the first video of this car, this is a 1940 Chevrolet Master Coupe 85. It is a Restomod. It has a 350 small block Chevy engine that is fuel injected, multi-port fuel injected. And since the filming of the first video, I've done a little research and I've been able to find out a little bit more about the car, starting with the engine. This engine is a $9,000 engine. It is a complete kit sold, I think, on Jegs, and it's a 410 horsepower, 408 pound-feet of torque, small block, high-performance Chevrolet engine. But that is with an AVS Thunder carburetor, 800 CFM carburetor. This is obviously not carbureted, it is fuel injected. So I want to take this air cleaner off real quick. We'll show you guys what lies underneath it. I'd like to replace this air cleaner. It's kind of cool, but it's an old Cadillac air cleaner, and I think I'd kind of like a more, you know, oh, the whole thing is coming off. Great. Can we, yeah, maybe I need two hands for this, guys. I don't want to damage my paint. I sat you guys down. I think that'll work a little bit better. Let's get this out from under here. Oh, that sucker is heavy. Next, we'll take this base plate. Oh, we need the base plate because it is fuel injected, and it uses this for the intake air temperature sensor that is plugged in the back here. Let's go ahead and just unplug this real quick and take the base plate off. So now we get a much better view of what this engine is working with. So like I said, small block 350, and this fuel injection system is a separate purchase. It's an old school fuel injection system. It is not throttle body injected. It is multi-port fuel injected by Edelbrock and Weber. Weber actually made the castings for all of this, and Edelbrock put it all together. So this is a multi-port fuel injection system, and it is very, very nice. You can see you've got an idle air control valve right there in the center of your screen. You've got your throttle position sensor right over here. Get you guys to, oops, get you guys down there. There's your throttle position sensor. There is your map sensor. This is a really nice setup. It is called the Edelbrock ProFlow 1. And yes, it's very, very old. Now, the reason I took all of that off was not to show you the fuel injection. I took it off for a reason. The idle on this is very lurchy. Now, that could be because of the torque converter, or it could have the wrong installed torque converter in it. Maybe. It could also be because the tuner is not programmed properly. So what we need to do is we need to go into the tuning aspect of this computer here, and we need to disable the idle control, at which point it will default to a manual blade control, which is old school screwdriver and a screw to the plate, to the throttle plate. That will set our actual throttle. Then we can reactivate the electronic throttle, and we will set it to the exact same RPM that we have the manual setting set to. And that should, assuming all things are good in the world, make our idle a lot more smooth. Now, it's not going to help if it's because it's cammed or if it's because it's got the wrong torque converter in it, but this looks like a very professional build. I don't think the torque converter is wrong. I think it's more likely that it's either got a different cam in it or somebody just didn't calibrate the idle correctly. So we're now inside the car. It's obviously complaining about an air temperature sensor error because we unplugged it, but I need that off for just a second. But as you can see, I have switched the idle control back to off. You hit enter, it's going to complain again, and then we have to hit save. Yes, I know. Oh, crap. That scared the living crap out of me. Exit, 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 and then exit. We should be good to go now. All right, the idle's really the biggest issue I have with the car currently, and then from there, maybe adjusting the front end just a little bit. Not to worry, I'm not going to spend too much time on this with you guys. You're probably not interested in this, but I am definitely wanting to find out what's underneath the car. I got a feeling with the kind of goodies that's under the hood, there's probably a lot more underneath. So what we need to do, I went ahead and plugged in that air intake temperature sensor just because I don't want to deal with the flashing error codes constantly. If we go back and look at the modifiers now, you'll see the idle control is off. At this point, we should be able to start it, make sure it's in park. And it's running off of a base idle set by the carburetor, or the throttle body, which as you can see is over 1,000 RPM. Now we can come under the hood. We can manually adjust this idle. I'd like to turn it down. I think that's just way too high. That's as far down as it goes right here. Yeah, it doesn't go any further down than that. And all of these are still loose, so I really wanted to turn that idle down just a tad bit more. Alright, well, looks like we're stuck. Looks like the idle is going to be stuck at probably somewhere around 1,000. So we really didn't do any good here, but what I want to do is put it in drive and see if it's still lurching. That's awful high idle, truthfully. I don't like that. Also makes me wonder if maybe, you can see the RPMs here. Like I said, right around 1,100 RPM. Yeah, that's no good. Okay, well, let me go back and let's set these modifiers. We will set the target RPM to right at 1,000. That's about the only thing we can do because that seems to be where it's at right now. And then we can exit. Rev limiter, base timing set is off. Closed loop is on. Idle control is back on again. Great. So try as I might, I can't get that idle to come down at all from about 1,100 RPM. I have saved the program. I have turned the computer controlled idle off, but the blades will not come back any further than they are, and I can't get them. I can't find anything that's binding or holding it up. All of these lines are loose enough that there should be plenty of room, but that seems to be as low as the idle goes. Now there's a couple vacuum lines we could check. One is right here for the fuel pressure regulator, and it appears to be in good shape. But there is one for the brake booster that sits back there, and I'm kind of wondering if maybe, let me see if I can get you guys back there a little bit. It's going to be hard to see. It's a big line. You can see it kind of right there in your screen on the brass fitting. Maybe that's causing a problem, or maybe there's a problem. The brake booster is actually under the driver's side. So I'm going to go ahead and get this up in the air real quick. We'll take a peek underneath it, and we'll check the master cylinder's brake booster vacuum line. All right, let's climb under and take a look. We're going to start from the back, and we'll work our way forward here. So we'll get a nice view of the tailpipes and the gas tank, because that is the first thing we're going to come across under here. I did wipe some things down just because it was a little dirty under here, and it doesn't hurt to keep things clean. That's a pretty big gas tank, guys. I put 15 gallons in it the other day, and it still had some gas in it, so somewhere between 15 and 20 gallons. Here's your rear differential. I tried to clean it up, guys. I don't know if I did a very good job or not, but here we have some, what is this? Something engineering shocks. Chaz Engineering. www. I don't know. Can't read it. Rear sway bar. The other shock. You also have, see up there, a Summit Racing proportioning valve, adjustable proportioning valve. That's really nice, so you can determine if you want any brakes at the back. In case you want to do massive burnouts, you can click that sucker all the way back, and you can make it to where there are no brakes on the back wheels. Here is the, I guess the manufacturer of this rear axle is Tex, just says TEX. You have your Willwood brakes there, and I also noticed, you see it's a little wet over there? Yep, it is wet over there. I have an axle seal leaking on that side. If you look up on the wheel, you can kind of see how nasty it is over there. If I can get you, hell, I can't get you through there, but if you take a look down here, I cleaned it up pretty good. It's nice and shiny. But the top of the wheel over there, look, you can see where the grease has been splattering all over the place. So I wish I could get you a better view. There it is. Yeah, right there. So we got an axle seal leaking on that side. Not to worry, before I get out of here today, I am going to check the fluid level right there. I believe there's another one on the side here, another plug. There it is, way up there. I think I'll just use this one. That looks a lot better. We'll make sure she's full. I found something kind of interesting under here. I didn't know this existed, but here it is. This is an e-brake. Yeah, this is a big electronic lever that when you set the e-brake, pulls this cable right here. This cable runs up and over to right here to a, basically, it's a rotor that's attached to your drive shaft. Yeah, there it is right there. Pinion seal is not leaking. That's good news. U-joints, everything under here looks new, guys. All the grease fittings look good. Everything looks really, really nice under here. But I did not know this had an e-brake, which is slightly concerning because this is awful clean. Almost looks like it's been riding around with the e-brake turned on for quite a while. So I'm going to need to definitely do some checking in there and find the e-brake and make sure it's released. MagnaFlow mufflers, which I thought this was supposed to have Delta Series 50 Flowmasters, and it doesn't. I noticed when hitting bumps, I would hear a clinking on the passenger side. Well, I found it. You can clearly see this has been banging. So I took the liberty of adjusting it just a little bit. I gave it a little bit more clearance, and hopefully that saves the day on that noise. There's the Willwood master cylinder. I am going to take the top off. It's got these little wing nuts. We'll take the top off, and I'll do my best to check the fluid level in there. There's our chrome brake booster. And one of the things I've noticed about the brake booster here is, well, do you see that vacuum line? That's not very good. That's not, I can't, there we go. Let's see if we can grab this and pull this out real quick. Oh, wow. Even this one. Look how it just slides. There is a slim possibility we might be losing some of my vacuum there. I told you it felt like something was up. It seems like we got a vacuum leak. That's going to be exactly where I'm starting on this. I got some clamps. I will clamp these back down. That, of course, runs all the way up back to the throttle body and intake manifold. We have electronic steering. We have electronic speedometer right there. There's some of our linkage. And there's our shifter up there. It's misadjusted just a tad bit. I'm not quite sure if I'm even going to worry about adjusting it because the digital gauges say that it's in like neutral when you're in drive. Not a big deal, but just something to think about. Over here, I believe this is a servo over here, isn't it? I can't get you guys up there. Maybe I can get you from over here. Does that make it a little better? If you see anything that's out of whack, let me know. But we even have a trans temperature sensor, which is what that oil sensor is on the dash that I said it was broken. I didn't know what it goes to. Now I know what it goes to. It goes to the transmission. Sure does. What kind of transmission is that? Well, hell, I don't know, guys. I really don't. I'll let you guys look at the pan. Maybe you can figure it out, but I don't have a clue what kind of trans this is. reverse lights, oil filter. There's a little bit of oil down here, so it may be leaking just a tad from a valve cover or something, but yeah, it looks like it's coming from a valve cover. Right up there, just a tad bit of oil. You've got a Milledon incorporated gold pan. Here are your motor mounts right there. Look at all the stainless and nickel plated lines, guys. I mean, this thing is absolutely beautiful. The block it's gorgeous under here, guys. Here's all your steering linkages right here, running back and then up. Everything under here looks to be in really, really good shape. Moving back a little bit, here is your front suspension. And as I expected, wow, that's a nice setup, guys. That is a really nice setup. Tubular control arms. You've got coil-over suspension, rack and pinion steering. This is a beautiful setup under here, guys. Same thing over here. Of course, you've got a sway bar or anti-sway bar. The tires are pretty old, though. I'm looking for a date code, and all I can find, maybe you guys can help me with this too. I have a date code right here, a DOT number that says, let me see where it's at. In circles, 14215. So I don't know, is that like 42nd week of 2015? If so, yeah, that could be an issue. I mean, the tires look brand new. I don't see any cracking on any of them. They are matching tires. They look really good. Only 2,000 miles supposedly on this build. There's your horns, your frame rails. Everything looks really, really nice under here, guys. So this is great news. I'm happy. All right, I've been exploring some things on my own under here without you guys, and I've figured a couple things out. This is crazy. I'm going to go ahead and tell you the inner tie rod on this side is bad, but the bearings on this side absolutely shot. It felt like it steered a little bit wonky, kind of like it just did whatever it wanted. And I thought, well, maybe it's the tires, or hell, maybe it's just a bad alignment. Yeah, I'll say it's a bad alignment, guys. I'm going to take you under here, and I'm going to show you what we're working with here, all right? No matter where I grab this wheel, I can do this. I can grab it from the bottom. Look at this. It's not ball joint. It's literally the bearings are definitely at a minimum out of adjustment on that side. Let's see if we can get that wheel off, tighten them down. This one, as you can see, has play too, but you can see where the play is on this one. Inner tie rod, quite a bit of play over here. So we're going to need to figure out what the part number is for the tie rod for this, and hopefully this one is just a matter of adjusting the bearings if they haven't been wallered out because of all that slop. Now moving on down back here, what I did is I disconnected this hose from my master cylinder's brake booster here, and I have put a new clamp on it, and I have put a cap on the end. We're gonna clamp that off. We're gonna start the car, and we're gonna see if the idle goes down to where it should be. I mean, honestly, 1100 RPM that's pretty high. It's fine. We can do it that way if we have to, but I'd really like to have the idle down to just probably somewhere around 800, maybe 850. I also took this end and I hooked my vacuum gauge to it, my Mighty Vac, and I was able to pull 12 inches of vacuum just fine, but the seal on this side was not in properly. It was not sitting right, and it kept losing vacuum. So I got it to where it seems to be holding vacuum now. This side is fine. We've capped this off. Now we can start the car. With any luck, maybe, just maybe, the idle will be normal. So I wanted to give you just a little bit better of a picture of what's going on. This is the driver's side wheel. Look at this. I mean, there is so much play, guys. So much play. Up and down, angled, side to side, a lot of play. And now onto the passenger side. That's a lot of play for a tie rod. So no wonder the thing was going wherever it wanted to. the wheels are just kind of going everywhere, every which way. Up and down, it's fine, but side to side, it's an inner tie rod. All right, we've made our way back up top. It's time to, I wish I could find that e-brake. I'd love to find wherever that switch is that runs the e-brake. And you would think it would be somewhere easily accessible up here. Well, I would anyway. But for the life of me, I can't think of where it would be. I'll bet that's it right there. Hold on. That's it. That's your e-brake. All right, let's move on to something else, shall we? This we might be able to address here. I have not taken this apart yet, but you can clearly see that's not tight, guys. This is not good. I got some needle nose here. We'll pull this cotter pin out, which I'll probably reuse, even though you're not supposed to. I may have another one. If I do, I'll use another one. I wish, I'm going to need to look in that book a little bit and see if I can find, oh boy, this cotter pin needs to be replaced for sure. She's in rough shape. Don't bend, don't bend. You guys know the drama of this, right? Come on. She's kind of bound up. See that? Look at that. Wow. Oh my goodness. I think she could have used a bigger cotter pin, to be honest with you. That sucker was loose. Look how much better it's going to be now. Look at this. It's not even tight and it doesn't move anymore. But we're this far into it, so we might as well check and just see what things look like. Hopefully the bearing's intact. Hopefully there's not metal everywhere. Hopefully it's still got grease. That grease looks pretty good. That's some nice high temp grease. Let me see if I can pop that bearing out of here real quick without taking this off. Not making any noise other than the brake pads. Yeah, other than the brake pads, she's not making noise. I think this is salvageable. So here's a closer look inside. I don't know how well you can see it, but the race looks good. And these bearings, surprisingly, still have plenty of grease. They still roll nicely. I think these are fine. I think everything's going to be okay here, guys. Let's see if I get a little closer. Will it focus? There we go. Yeah, I think this is fine, guys. I'm going to throw a little extra grease in here, pack these down with some fresh high-temp grease, put it back in, and I think we just saved doing anything to this side of the car. So here's what we've got going on now. Unfortunately, I had to use that other cotter pin, but if you look at what I did to it, can we not focus? Sometimes it doesn't like to focus, but if you look at what I did to it, I've smashed it in there pretty damn good, and I folded everything over nice and tight. So you shouldn't have any more problems with this nut backing out. I've tightened it till it was relatively snug with this wrench right here. And then when it got nice and snug, I backed it off just a hair, maybe an eighth of a turn, maybe an eighth to a quarter of a turn. And this is what you have. Spins freely, but not too freely. No noise. Bearings repacked. And at this point, I think we are safe to throw our little dust cap back on there and, well, tap her on, put our wheel back on. And I know some of you are going to ask before I put that wheel on, did I clean it? Yes, I did. A little bit of my favorite product, a little bit of Super Clean, degreaser, and just a rag. And that's it. Look how that came out. Actually came out really, really nice. Legit Kragers. Not copies. These are real deal, guys. Look how good that looks. It's gonna look even better once we get it back on the car. I've spent about the last hour researching through that giant book of documents, and I found a lot out about this car. It shows it pays to take a little time to pay attention to the literature. So this is in fact a Mustang 2 front end. So now I know how to order parts for the front. If I ever need bearings or anything like that, not a big deal. It's like 74 to 1980 Ford Mustang 2. I can order those inner tie rods, not a big deal. I also found out that the transmission is from a place called Bowtie Transmissions? Bowtie Overdrives. All right, it's a 700 R4, and the drive shaft was custom made for this car as well. And there's the specifications for the custom drive shaft. It's capable of handling 440 horsepower, 435 foot-pounds of torque, with a maximum RPM of 6,500. So there's a lot of good information here. Your fuel tank is right here, Rock Valley Antique Auto Parts. You have your power brake system. There's your plumbing. There's all the pieces to it right there. There's door weather stripping. I mean, literally everything that you should need for this car to find parts, order stuff down the road is all right here. I've done some tuning on it. I've been working on the tuning for quite a while. I think I've got the tuning about where I would like it to be. It seems like it's running pretty good. Doesn't seem like it's surging at an idle anymore, but that's something we'll have to take out on the road and find out. I'm a little leery at this point to try to drive this any further until I have the new inner tie rods for the front end. To be quite honest with you, there's a lot of play in this one, and I just found out there is still a tad bit of play in this one, and it is both the inner tie rods. Ball joints, everything are solid. The rest of the suspension is solid, and don't forget, I still have to check the grease in the rear differential because that seal over there appears to, it either was leaking or it is leaking. I'm not quite sure, but it's definitely worth, once I get this on the ground, get it leveled back out again, definitely worth popping that that screw out, dipping our finger in and seeing if we need to add some, because I do have some fluid for that. The rear diff is a Tex Racing Ford 9-inch rear end. I found that information in here as well. I didn't take the time to read what the gear ratio was. What the that it is what it is at this point. What I do know is I can cruise around about 65 miles an hour, just barely over 2,000 RPM, probably maybe 2,200 RPM at 65 miles an hour in overdrive. So very, very good for cruising. Ladies and gentlemen, I am about ready to call it an evening here. So since this has a Ford 9-inch rear end, I just talked to Michael from Santa's Workshop. He said doing the axle seal is not going to be a big deal on this because the axle is held in by the bearing instead of a clip in the differential. So this should be relatively easy to handle. I checked the brake fluid. Brake fluid is full. The brake fluid is very fun to check. I also found the switch for the parking brake, and I got the parking brake set now, so that's really nice to have that. I checked the fluid level in the differential back here using this, and it dripped some out, so it is full. It's just leaking a little bit. Now, the only other thing I really had to do today, aside from inner tie rods, which I was not aware of, was I wanted to flush this coolant because it's looking a little rough. It's kind of hard to get to. I don't know if you can see the petcock, but it's right there. Right there. That's it. Right there in the center of your screen. Not the easiest to get to. I think I'm going to have to get to it from maybe up here. I've already pre-loosened it just to make my life a little easier. Let's see. Where is it going to spill out at? That's the... Close. That was close. That was real close. Hell yeah. Uh-oh. Hey. Hey. Whoa. Hey. Hey, now. Okay. Well, that's close enough. We'll let that drain for a while, guys. That's about as good as I'm going to get for today, is draining this. I want to put some flush in it, clean it out, because that stuff has been in there for a long time. Wouldn't hurt in the near future to do an oil change. Also probably service the transmission and the rear differential as well, and the power steering. All really lightweight, easy stuff to get done. If you guys can help me with something, though, take a look at these coilovers. The shocks are not really good on this car, front or rear. I don't know if you can see it, but it's called Carrera, and this is a T3 1105SA, T3 1105SA, CARRERA coilovers. And if you look at the top of these coilovers, what makes them kind of unique is it's an I-beam setup, sort of. You see what I mean? The top and the bottom looks exactly like this. It's got that eye in the middle with a bolt that goes straight through. Take a look. Hope maybe you can see it better over here. I don't know, but yeah. Either way, you got this bar right here that goes straight across, and then you've got the same thing on the bottom. And I can't find that part number to save my life. So probably long out of business, doesn't exist anymore. In the rear, I would love to find these. Again, this is Chassis Engineering, made in Canada. And I think I've got a part number over here. Yes, Chassis Engineering. The part number on this one was T30707SA, Sam Adam. That is T as in Tango 30707 Sam Adam. These shocks look like they're from 2019. So they might be a little newer, if I'm reading the date code right. But you can tell by the way it bounces. When I grab the frame back here and I just kind of... It bounces too much. So I'd like to replace all of the shocks and the front coilovers with a brand new set. So if you guys can help me, you know where I can find those, please email me, autoauctionrebuilds@gmail.com. Email me and give me an idea of where you think we could find this stuff. And I'm going to let this drain a little bit, then we'll take a look at it and see what it looks like. It's definitely past its prime. Well, you want to see what came out of it? This right here is what came out of that sucker, and that does not look pretty, does it? That is probably original, would be my guess. I didn't flush it. I went ahead and just drained it out, and I put fresh antifreeze back in it. Extended life, of course, right there. Ready to use stuff. And it held just about 2 gallons. So it's got some fresh antifreeze in it, and I'm just going to let that stuff sit in there. I'll use it for a little while. I'll drain it. I'll probably drain it and fill it a couple, 3 times before I'm satisfied. As for the tie rods, I'm trying to decide what to do. Santa came over, Michael from Santa's Workshop came over here, and he took a look under the car. He said, none of this is a big deal, obviously. I'd like to find those coilovers. Again, if you guys can help me with that, that'd be great. I'd like to find the shocks for the rear. If you can help me with that, that would be great. But he's got a Mustang 2 rack and pinion brand new that's got inner and outer tie rods and everything. So he said, if I want it, I can have it, because he never used it. So awesome, man. If you don't know Santa's Workshop, go check him out. Super nice guy. He'd give you the shirt off his back if you needed it. Hopefully he gets feeling better. Maybe he'll come over here and, if nothing else, hang out while we do some of this. We got some stuff coming up in the future, obviously, probably replacing that rack and pinion with one from Santa's Workshop. Then we've got the rear axle seals. We've got the shocks and coilovers that I want to do. And I'm telling you, I've been chasing down this idle issue, and I can't seem to figure it out, man. I got the idle set on this to about 960, which is where I want it. But it seems like once I go out and I drive it, as soon as it gets back, it's idling where it wants to, like 1,000, 1,050 RPM, which is much higher than I'd like it to. I don't know what the deal is. I've checked for vacuum leaks. There's really nowhere to have a vacuum leak on this. You've only got like 2 or 3 vacuum lines on this engine, and I plugged the biggest one, which was to the brake booster, and it didn't make any difference. No matter what I do, I seem to be stuck with this kind of oddball idle. It does whatever it wants to do. It's not the end of the world, and it runs great. I feel like it's too high of an idle, man. But either way, it is what it is. It's a beautiful car. You guys got to see it underneath, inside, and out. We got fluids to change. I told you I want to do the power steering fluid when we change the rack and pinion, obviously. Want to go through and flush it out, put fresh fluid in, drain and fill the trans. Maybe even do a filter on it. Maybe worth doing a filter. The transmission pan does have a drain, so we could drain it, do a filter on that and some fresh fluid as well, change the oil and filter. And this thing should be good. That's what I love about these old cars. There's just not that much to them, and maintenance on them is ridiculously cheap. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, call it a day. I've been here all day. May not seem like we got a lot done, but I feel like we accomplished a lot and we learned a lot, and that's more important to me, is getting to know more about this car. I want to thank each and every one of you so much for taking time to watch my video. If you enjoyed it, hit the thumbs up button, share the video with your friends, and consider subscribing to the channel. I would truly appreciate it. Till next time, stay safe out there, everybody. I look forward to seeing you all again very soon in the next one.